The original idea for Wraith goes all the way back to when we were designing SPECTRE, because there was the real question for us of whether SPECTRE would be a smaller form factor, because I've always been a huge fan of small form factor liquid-cooled systems because it's what I have the most fun with due to the challenge. I think ITX liquid-cooled is one of the most challenging builds that you can do, just trying to fit everything in. You have to really choose the right components. And you guys know I've done a lot of ITX liquid-cooled systems, but also the compact mid-towers with very high-end parts and dual loops I always really enjoy as well because of the challenge. And so when we started thinking about liquid cooling integration, the idea of ITX, due to the space savings, it just goes hand in hand with integration. So it was always something that we were going to do. But I'm not going to get into too much detail on the case now because we can do that during the build log, because that's what this is. And this is actually the first personal project that I'm doing in a long time. And that means that I get to choose the theme. And so we're going to do a theme that we did many years ago in Build 20, Event Horizon. And this is actually based around some of the ideas behind SingularityComputers, because I'm a huge fan of sci-fi, and in particular sci-fi horror. So the film Event Horizon is one of my favorites. I also really like Sunshine and pretty much any sci-fi at all. I don't think you'll see any horror elements coming into this build log because I want the horror to be kind of hidden behind layers of mystery and the fear of the unknown. So obviously modding is one of our first considerations when designing a case. And so all of the outer panels of Wraith can actually be removed in about a minute. And this makes it very easy to paint the case, to modify the outer panels. But even more importantly, particularly for ITX, it gives you full access from all sides. And you can just remove any of these panels at any time during the build. And when I build into Wraith, I just build with all of these panels off for as long as I can. And then you really don't need to add the panels until the components that are mounted on them are going into the build, such as the power supply, the GPU, and the radiators. But this can be done later on. The order in which you build into a tight case is always really important. You can also just remove the entire manifold from the case and build onto that. So this is the paint that I'm planning on using. So it's called Deep Sea Blue, and it's a blue pearl. Oh, interestingly enough, it's actually a Suzuki color. So we'll see how that goes. It looks very dark, so it really does fit the theme well. But if I don't like this, although this is like $270 a litre, so it better be good, I will just be using like a black base. I have lots of black around. And then a silver flake. So that'll be this here. I'm hoping this is, oh yeah, this is super fine, that's good. And then very, very high gloss, kind of a three-dimensional black, because what I want it to look like is, you know, a black sky with stars sparkling. So there are a few mods aside from the custom paint. We have our mission symbol laser etched onto the back panel of the manifold because there is a little bit of a story behind this theme and the case mod. The people who are responsible for the design of Wraith are on a mission to Proxima Centauri to test faster than light speed travel using a singularity. And so that's what all of that is about. It's similar to the plot of Event Horizon. And there's also the ISO grid that we did on the SSD mounting panel. And that actually fits 12 SSDs normally, but with this mod it won't fit any because I'm only installing one SSD into this build and it can go onto the bottom 2.5 inch mounting position on the bottom panel. So the case actually fits 13 2.5 inch drives in the capacity configuration and then 3 in the aesthetics configuration because you can also flip them over and lay them flat. We've also done a little cover or shroud for the GPU water block, which has like another mission symbol or logo on it. The components that we're using for this build, I tend to be quite conservative when it's a personal project. You know, I'm only using what I really need. These components will be fine for what this build is actually going to be used for. I know I should be setting the example here, but we'll get into the specs during the build. The custom paint special effects never show up properly on camera, particularly pearl, which is what this is. This is a blue pearl over a black base, and it kind of only shows up in certain lights from certain angles, but it's really not actually a subtle pearl. It's quite almost like more like a metallic. But I'm really happy with the way it's turned out, and everything is nice and high gloss because these panels are just super easy to paint. They're small, they're flat. And the stars, I'm happy with that too, although from some angles when the light shines on it, there's too many of them showing up. It looks like too many stars and it's a bit too much flake, but yeah, it's pretty much what I was going for.